This is part 2 of WildChild's Visited Haiti series. It's the end of September of 2019. Last episode you watched the girls venture from Luperon of the Dominican Republic to get to Cap Haitian in Haiti. It's the morning of the second day. We wake up in a beautiful hotel on the hill overlooking the dirty city. We have a lovely breakfast, and then we prepare to venture forth. I saw enough of the dirty city on the way in to have no interest in venturing out into it again today. But my wealthy friends want to go explore the city and buy some authentic Haitian art to bring home with them. So, that's what we do. I talked with the hotel owner James the night before. He's assured us that it's quite safe as long as we stay in the tourist district. He gives us the road boundaries to stay within. There are heavily armed police that patrol it in pickup trucks to protect the tourist. Says as long as you stay in the tourist district, you'll be fine. We had heard machine gun fire that night. We saw the smoke rising from the riots and the tire fires, and my friends back home began texting me the news about all the murders that were happening there during the riots every day. You could say that I was not super keen on the idea of exploring their city in the middle of their revolution. Now that I understood about their voodoo beliefs and the risk of taking pictures, I was snapping these with the camera at my side, covertly. They're all smuggled out. James had warned me, don't let the locals know that you're taking pictures, because it could spark a manifestation of the people's anger, and it could get very violent, very fast. My friends were completely oblivious to the possibility of any danger, and were quite excited to explore the town. We're inside the bounds of the tourist area. I've seen a couple of pickup trucks with heavily armed tourist police watching us, protecting us. In the tourist area, the streets seem relatively cleaned. You can see they've made effort to sweep the garbage into piles, where later they'll bring it down to the ocean front to be cleaned away by the tides. But because of the revolution, there are no tourists. We're the only tourists stupid enough to be here. If you've been following my videos, you know that I'm also an electrician, and I'm infinitely fascinated by third world electricity. There are no rules. It's just so crazy. Electricity can be just so dangerous, so maybe it's good that they don't have any electricity. None of the wires are live. Nobody has lights. There is no electricity here. I was covertly filming these locals on the street corner when I almost started a riot. One of the guys noticed the camera and started yelling, and they started coming towards us. We just played innocent and sort of hurried away. Eventually we did find the art district down by the port. We're the only white people, the only tourists, and there's a lot of vendors really hungry for the money. They were all very polite, very well behaved. There were armed tourist police nearby protecting us and keeping an eye out for us. None of the vendors harassed or bothered us. They were all very polite and very nice. Ellen and I are both young and therefore poor. We don't have pensions. We don't have any money to spend on art to support the locals, so we just sat around and waited for our friends to select what they wanted. There are no jobs or industry here, so there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands. And it's true, in Haiti, there is a lot of fabulous art. Eventually, we leave the art district and we begin wandering along the waterfront. You thought I was kidding when I said Haiti's garbage plan is to let it all wash out to sea, but I'm not kidding. This is really what they do with their garbage.
Hey Lexi, how do you feel?
It's always hot.
Yeah.
Even our friend Alan, who's traveled the entire world, has never seen any place as filthy as Haiti.
It's a video.
This was one of the few places where we could openly pull out the camera to take pictures, because there were no locals around at the time. You might be tempted to think that we only pulled out the camera to show you the worst of Haiti, and that's not true at all. The whole place is a garbage dump everywhere. This was just one of the few places we could actually film and try to show you. We walked along the entire length of the fabulous beaches in Haiti along the waterfront, and this is in the tourist district. That's not rocks on the beach, that's just pure garbage. If you're watching this, you probably have a very Western idea in your head of protecting the ocean from plastics, but that's a Western idea. That's not a Haitian idea. They have no interest or concern whatsoever for keeping their plastics out of the ocean. We continued to wander along the waterfront into the rich tourist area. You can tell that it kind of has potential. It probably once was nice. Thierry is a bit of a wild one. He sees some local fishermen hauling in a net, and he runs over to help them. This was actually rather interesting. This is Haitian fishermen. They don't have any money, so they can't afford boats or gasoline. So one guy goes out in this little sailboat, and they string a great big net around in a big circle shore to shore, and they literally just drag the bottom. They pull in absolutely everything. They dredge it to the shore. It's definitely not long-term sustainable fishing, but hey, there are no rules here. It's Haiti. We keep wandering around looking for a restaurant we can have lunch in, but there's no electricity here. All of the bank machines are closed and have no money in them. There's no economy, and all the businesses are closed. Eventually, we find this one restaurant open along the beachfront. Haitians speak a language called Creole, which is sort of like a slangy, bastardized version of French. I don't speak any French, but our hosts do, so they do the ordering and they talk to the waitress. Most of what's on the menu isn't available. There's not a lot of food, so we eventually figure out what we can order and order that. After lunch, our hosts get the brilliant idea. They don't want to see the cleaned up fake Haiti. They want to go outside the protected tourist zone. They want to see real Haiti. What is real Haiti like where the people live, outside of the protected tourist area? Our fearless leader leads the 3 white girls out of the protected zone and into filthy hell. It smells so bad we almost vomit. We watch the eyes of the locals. They can see us coming, and they're raising their eyes, wondering, what's wrong with these crazy white people? Why are they coming here? As usual, this is covert footage. I've got my camera quietly down in my hand, and I'm just acting like it's not on. I can't look or aim it. I'm just sort of innocently aiming the camera around. We are surrounded by local Haitians, and if any of them see this camera going, they're going to riot. They absolutely will flip the fuck out if they know the camera's rolling.
Oh, this is way worse than I we are now 100 times worse than I thought.
I cannot believe human beings live like this. It is filthy. It is filthier than a barn. It is so filthy we wouldn't even let farm animals live in conditions this filthy.
Smells like garbage. Smells like really bad garbage.
We're walking through the food market. This is where they get their food to eat. It is covered in flies, and the smell is so bad, I think I'm gonna vomit.
I might vomit.
And this is a Haitian grocery store.
Oh, that's the smell of the fish. gotta,
Nothing right ahead.
you gotta get to the right. You gotta get out. It's enough.
Please,
It's enough.
Didi, please. It's exactly the same, but even worse. It stinks, and I feel like throwing up.
Me too.
Please.
I might vomit as well. It's gonna make me puke. It smells really bad.
So,
Let's go visit Haiti, they say. It'll be fun, they say. Let's go on vacation to Haiti. It'll be wonderful. There were more riots and gunfire that night. The escape the next day was a whole story on its own, but I'm just going to give you the highlights. The next morning, the hotel owner, James, made a bunch of calls for us. The citadel that we wanted to visit was shut down. Riots and roadblocks, there was no way to get there. He kindly arranged for us to get an SUV ride to the border for $100 US, but my wealthy friends didn't want to pay that much. The new brilliant plan of our hosts is that we'll just walk the 5 miles to the bus station. It'll be a cheaper ride out. We'll save some money. I was crying and begging James, the hotel owner, "You have to get us a lorry ride to the bus station. Please don't let my wealthy hosts force us girls to walk through that city dragging our luggage." It takes a few hours for James to find someone willing to take the risk of driving through the city after the riots, but he does come through for us. Us girls go in the cab of the lorry because I just can't stand the idea of people grabbing at me as we drive through the city again. I hate being surrounded by people that want to grab me. Our hosts are all riding in the back. The driver keeps having to stop to text people. He's got to find a route around the roadblocks and the riots to get us to the bus station. As he drives us through the city, there's evidence of the riots from the night before. There's smashed windows, broken on cars, things all over the road, and scorch marks on the road where they've had fires to block traffic. The escape was actually dangerous, but my friends in the back are just loving it. They have no concept that they themselves could possibly come to harm. What I don't realize until later is that all my friends in the back of the lorry are openly filming, openly holding up their cameras, openly filming the scenes, and they can be seen doing it.
Yeah, and this is where these guys wanted to walk through carrying all our luggage to save money. Oh, we're not paying anything. They got this covered. I was going to pay the money for the drivers to take us straight to the border. I would have paid for that. This is real Haiti.
I'm in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Like these guys wanted to walk this.
It was right about here when things started to go bad. Someone on the side of the road noticed my friends openly filming them, and it started a riot. People started yelling and screaming and throwing things at the truck, and all of a sudden the driver, pedal to the metal, tears off out of there before we get torn apart in the riot. The voodoo-fearing Haitians don't want their picture taken. They don't want bad voodoo brought on them, and my friends are all holding up their phones, openly taking pictures. And this is one of the pictures taken from the back of the lorry that caused the riot that almost got us killed. To be honest, I would say after visiting the country, the Haitian people themselves are very nice and very wonderful. They're just living in an impossible situation and in impossible circumstances. The rest of us could never live like this or put up with it. We all would have had a revolution with violence long ago. But the Haitians are really quite peaceful about it. But there's a limit to how much tyranny a population will take, huh?